was awesome. Thank you so much. That sounded sincere. Welcome back to More Up North. I'm Shannyn Moore. And you know, tonight's panel, I think that a lot of people probably didn't think I'd do, but I'm doing it and I'm really excited about it. It's an all-red panel. I know. You can see Russia from Alaska and we have an all-red panel. It makes sense, right? An all-Republican panel. Some of my best friends.
National Brotherhood Week.
On National Brotherhood Week. You know, and some of my best friends are Republicans. It's okay. So this is going to be really fun. And part of the reason I wanted to do this is that the last several years in Alaska have been basically political shrapnel. The sort of divisive behavior. I think we're actually at a point in Alaska where people, if they were driving down the road and saw you in the ditch, would check your bumper stickers before they'd stop and help you out. And I don't remember that growing up. Maybe I was just sort of in a blue cloud and didn't sense it. So anyway, I want to introduce the panel. Right here, Representative Sharice Millett. She's in her first term right now, representing, as a Republican, District 30.
District 30.
District 30. And Representative Bob Lynn, who's a Republican with a capital R, Catholic with a capital C, which all is good. He's from District 31. And Senator Liesl McGuire, who's from District N, who is my representative some of the time, depending on how she votes. So anyway,
That's right.
so welcome, all of you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you guys agreed to be on. And what I was talking about, this sort of political shrapnel, I know I talked to you about this yesterday, Representative Lynn, was the sort of like incessant drama in Juneau. Last session was just like drama after drama after drama, and hopefully the main player of drama, who is no longer our governor, maybe things will settle down a little bit, maybe they won't. But do you get this sense that it's not just Alaska, we've seen what happened in Washington. This sort of, you know, no for the basis of partisanship, not a lot of cross, you know, promotion of other ideas, and just really representing the American people. How can we, going into this session, make sure that what happened in Washington doesn't happen in Juneau? Bob.
Well, I think you make a good point about all this political shrapnel. We're down there to do a job for the people of Alaska. We don't need all the drama. We need to stand firm for our position, to represent our constituents, and do away with some of the monkey business.
What do you think of this, Senator McGuire?
Well, I agree. I mean, and I think last year was one of the worst years that I've experienced in my 9 years there for divisiveness. In the Senate, we have a coalition that we've put together. And I have to say that it has led to a lot of cooperation, a lot of mutual understanding. You know, getting in the room with colleagues from across the aisle and finding out what their real beliefs are, instead of what their beliefs are described as, has really helped. So we're having a retreat next weekend, our Senate coalition, and we're hoping to work on, you know, an agenda that will reflect both sides of the aisle and Alaskans.
Yeah, because we're not red or blue by definition. Right. We're all pretty much just freezing right now, this week. And what do you think about that, Sharice? Because you've been in Juneau for a long time as a legislative aide and now as a representative. I mean, you've been there long enough. Did you see last year as being more divisive than any other?
I think so. I think it's getting better. I think Senator McGuire hit it with their coalition on the Senate side, and we've brought in some Democrats on our side. I think we all get a different viewpoint. Our vantage point is much different in our majority caucus now with the Democrats that are in our caucus and a rural perspective. So I think this next session, even though it's a campaign season and people are running for statewide office, I think you're going to see a lot of cooperation and a lot of trying just to get things done that, like you said, that are good for the state, and will move the state forward, not just personal agendas, but moving the whole state forward. We've got a lot of important issues, the energy issue. You know, we've got some budget issues that are going to be coming down the road with you know, the low flow of oil through taps. I mean, so there's a lot of big issues that we need to all just, you know, roll up our sleeves and work together on.
So basically, what I'm hearing is that there's a consensus among the Alaskans going to Juneau. And I know that this isn't the case with all of them because it is an election year, and the rhetoric's already flying. Yeah. And some of the issues that get people to show up are being brought up, and they seem to be brought up only in election years. And basically a couple of those things. One is the parental notification. We know that last year this died in the Senate, in the judiciary. I understand Hollis French was the chair of that. because it was considered unconstitutional. Young women, I think it affected maybe 3 or 4 young girls, possibly last year, would have to get parental consent in order to get an abortion. And this died last year. This is, of course, going to come up again this year. There's a ballot initiative that's out there. What are your feelings on this? Is this something that's just being brought up now for this? I know, Representative Lynn, this is something that is really close to your heart. You're very, I want to say pro-life, but I would rather say anti-choice.
Well, I know you would, because that's the magic of language, how you phrase
It does.
things.
The language is very important in
You
this.
know, pro-life versus pro-choice. Who can be against choice? Who can be against life? So both sides have done this, and I am pro-life. I hope everybody knows that. I believe in the protection of innocent human life from the moment of conception until natural death. The parental notification initiative, that's not consent, it's notification. Okay. Yes, pro-life elements are involved in that, but frankly, it's about parental responsibility. That's where it is. How can you be a good parent unless you know what your kids are doing?
Well, my pop and mom are in the audience tonight, which I'm glad to see you guys. Hi, Mom. I actually get to say that. The wolves that raised me, so to speak. And I know that our parental notification at our house was, where are you? Who are you with? Are there parents there? Are there adults there? And you need to be home. That was how it rolled at our house. That was the parental notification. It wasn't, oh, you're 13 and you need to go to a doctor to have this procedure. It was like, who are you with before all of that happened? And we had the horrifying case of Papa Pilgrim a few years ago, who had this tribe of family out in the boondocks and was actually, this is the Papa Pilgrim bill to me. I don't think that he was going to sign off or be notified or anything for his own daughter. And he died in prison, which I think some people feel is too good. Not to sound liberal, but I think it was too good for him. So, I mean, you're nodding. Liesl, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is not an easy thing. And what we're doing right now in our media, the right-wing talkers, the left-wing talkers, well, there's just one. But what we're doing is sort of really splitting this, that there's all or nothing on both sides. And how do we get to a place where we don't have girls having to make this decision?
It's a great question. This issue, to me, has been one of the hardest and saddest in my career to tackle, because truly, when you sit down, much like you said, most Alaskans are not Republicans or Democrats. Most Alaskans are not pro-life or pro-choice. Most Alaskans, when you meet them at their door and get a chance to talk with them, feel that sanctity of life is important and feel that women's choices are important and family choices are important. Many people believe it's between them and their God. There are all kinds of conversations that happen, but to try to define them in such black and white language that we do at a political level is really disrespectful to the issue itself a lot of times. And I find that we sit up there as talking heads, talking about issues that are some of the most sensitive and delicate in family units as if there's a magic answer. So for me personally, now as a parent, I hope for the same. I had the similar raising in my family. Where are you? Who are you with? What kinds of decisions are you making? And the consequences for the bad ones. So we hope that families have those conversations. We hope it doesn't take the state to come in and force those conversations. I worry, I agree with Bob, that the ideal thing is that you talk with your parent about that decision. Of course, that's what we'd want. I worry that the legislation itself is getting the wrong people. If you're already at that point where you need a law from the state to tell you that you need to tell your parents, involve them in one of the biggest decisions of your life, I don't know that we're really reaching the problem.
Yeah, they're already not plugged in.
That's my concern.
If you're forcing them to have that conversation with their parents, in the event that it is one of their parents. I talked to a woman this week who said that she went through this as a very young girl with her father. And she's like, you don't understand. If you're not already able to talk to a counselor, a Sunday school teacher, an advisor somewhere, that you're being abused at home, you're certainly not going to seek out a judge. You may try this at home. Right. And that's what really worries me. And Charisse, I mean, you're all the Republican Party. This is really one of the platforms. And you and I have talked about this. I don't know any Alaskan that's pro-abortion.
No.
Right.
And so to be able to take out the pro-life pro-choice and say we are all anti-abortion. Now, whether that means more education, whether that means encouraging young girls to have mentors even if their parents aren't available, whatever that is, or to say to their sons, hey,
Yes.
I know it's really cool, but wait. Because we have this sort of stud complex, I think, with our boys. What do you think of this? So you have boys and girls.